with that, I'm going to help us turn to our last virtual porch of the day. And we are going to talk about another longstanding project of the Foundation, which is our work in expanded access, or helping make sure that patients can get access to investigational treatments through a more efficient process. And to do that, we have one of our board members, Kay Holcombe. Kay, thank you for joining us today. And we are going to come to your porch as well as to the porch of Lori Bickel, who serves as a regulatory counsel in FDA's Center for Drugs. So Lori and Kay, I'm going to turn the microphone over to the two of you.
Thanks, Susan, and hi, Lori.
Hello.
I want to make a little visit to the past here, because expanded access is, next to IMEDS, one of the older Reagan-Udall Foundation partnership programs. And it sort of fell into our lap when access to investigational compounds that could possibly eventually become approved medications was a hot political issue a number of years ago. And the politics of it led people to believe that it was FDA that was causing a breakdown in communications so that patients who needed these investigational compounds to treat their serious illnesses were unable to get them. So the blame game began, and Reagan-Udall and FDA decided that we needed to figure out how we could work effectively together to try to bring people accurate information. We convened quite a number of years ago a meeting with FDA, the Reagan-Udall Foundation, the pharmaceutical industry, with individual companies and trade associations represented. We invited providers, healthcare providers who were in various areas of medicine. And in particular, we included ASCO, which was oncologists, because most of the requests that FDA received or companies received for investigational product access was a request from someone with cancer wanting a potentially effective cancer product. We determined from that meeting, which was followed by a second convening of similar kinds of stakeholders, that there was a lot of frustration in the patient community and in the provider community about the process of accessing investigational medicines. And it seemed as though the best way to begin to address that frustration was to provide patients, providers, caregivers, and others with an opportunity to log on to one website and have a look at the complete range of information that they might need to know and they might find helpful if they were in a situation where they were desiring and the provider felt it was important for a patient to receive an investigational medicine. And we partnered with FDA, and we also partnered with a couple of companies in the pharmaceutical industry to work with across a broad range of stakeholders to determine what kinds of information do people need, and then to develop that information, to draft up content for a website that people could access this information. And of course, it was incumbent on us to work closely with FDA on this so that we would be providing accurate information. And out of this process was born the Navigator. And the Navigator, we proudly present to you even today as a trusted resource for people who want to know everything that they can know about access to investigational medicines. So the Navigator will tell you what investigational medicines are, what's the difference between them and a fully approved medication. It will tell you how this process works, how the physician can access these medications for a patient. It will point you to NIH's website, clinicaltrials.gov, where you can get information about what kinds of medicines can be accessed potentially. And we are happy that every single month, the number of people who visit the Navigator website has increased. And the Navigator concept has grown across the years so that we now have more information that is available to people. And FDA has always, from day one, completely stepped up to the plate to try to address people's concern. So we heard initially that patients were frustrated, but we also heard from physicians that they were frustrated because there was too much paperwork, too complicated. Everything was just taking forever to get done. And FDA stepped up to the plate, and we now have the ability for physicians to request access to investigational medicines online. And this online tool was launched by the foundation in partnership with the FDA. So Lori, I want to bring you into this conversation on our freezing cold porches so that we can hear your take on this historical success that we have done together in helping patients.
Thank you, Kay. I think one of the first, I would like to echo all of my FDA colleagues in thanking the foundation, the staff, the leadership, all of your efforts throughout our ongoing partnership in all of these great projects. It's been I think also a very successful and fruitful partnership. So thank you to the entire Reagan-Udall Foundation team. You all have been just incredible partners on this journey. And it is a journey. Kay, I'm really glad you started with a little bit of history on this, because I think for expanded access, since FDA published the final regulations in 2009, for some projects, you publish the final regs and you're okay, we're done, on to the next thing. Whereas for expanded access, the final regulations were really just a beginning for us. Since they published, we've been looking at ways to continually streamline and improve the process. And Kay, you touched on a few of those as we've gone. And certainly the foundation has, again, been our partner every step of the way. So in 2016, we did create Form FDA 3926, specifically focused on single patient expanded access. We had been getting that feedback because of the foundation's work in convening stakeholders, that the process, especially for community physicians who weren't affiliated with a large academic center, didn't have experience in clinical trials. They just had a sick patient that they were trying to get something to help them. We came up with ways to try and make the program and the process less intimidating, less frightening. When you have a patient who has a serious or life-threatening illness, the physician's focus needs to be on the clinical care, not on filling out forms and paperwork and jumping through hoops to try and get access. So again, the foundation has been instrumental in being a bridge to all of the stakeholders throughout this entire process, in getting that continual feedback, what's working, what's not, what is still intimidating and scary, what can be simplified, what can be publicized. So again, in 2016, we have the new form and 3 new guidances, which again, the foundation's partnership was incredible in building the data to get there. In 2017, the Navigator, which you covered, that is such an incredible tool for all involved. In 2019, FDA launched Project Facilitate, which is started as a pilot through the Oncology Center of Excellence, but it's a way to help facilitate access to expanded access for oncologists, and specifically focused on cancer treatments and therapies. Because as you mentioned, a vast number of expanded access requests are through oncology. In 2020, we did launch eRequest or the foundation launched eRequest in partnership with FDA. We also had a May 2020 guidance for IRB review of single patient IND applications during the COVID pandemic. So it's been a long and fruitful partnership, I think, for both of us every step of the way. And I don't think I'm exaggerating to say we could not have done all of these things as successfully without the Reagan-Udall Foundation beside us.
Well, thank you for that. And I agree completely. We have found it to be an honor, a pleasure, and very exciting to partner with FDA. And one of the things that I want to say before we conclude our discussion is that we have also seen enormous partnership opportunities with companies who are developing important products for serious and life-threatening illnesses. And as the years have gone by, one of the things that the Navigator included from day one was a list of companies and products, investigational products that might be available. The list was shorter at the beginning, and it is growing every single year. So we want to say, too, that we greatly appreciate the willingness of the pharmaceutical industry to trust our Navigator with their important and often fluid information, and to know that we will treat it properly, and that also its availability to patients and caregivers and providers is a crucial part of their care, and they're getting well. So we want to thank FDA in particular, and to everyone else, all of the stakeholders who have been involved with the Navigator and with all of its follow-ups, the IRB program, the eRequest program, and so forth, and say that we are going to continue this process, and we will evolve this Navigator in the interest of doing the best for patients. And with that, Susan, I will turn it back to you.
Thanks so much, Kay and Lori, and what a great note to conclude our tour of Foundation porches and projects to talk about expanded access, where we're helping, if we can help the FDA, help those clinicians in that very challenging position with their patients with serious and life-threatening illnesses. What an opportunity. And so we appreciate the ability to work with FDA on that important work and to make a difference in the lives of those individual patients.